Yo, what's going on, guys? In today's video, I just want to break down exactly what Loud.io is actually doing to take all of the mindshare in the industry right now. And we've seen it all over crypto Twitter, right? I mean, you can kind of just look at Kaito here. They've taken over 70% of the mindshare of crypto Twitter, with OpenSea having only 3% of it. They've been able to execute probably one of the best marketing strategies that we've seen to date. And I want to break them down for you. So I'm going to go over three main components that Kaito has actually, or sorry, Loud.io has taken to become, over the last 48 hours, one of the most talked about projects in the industry, if not one of the most talked about projects throughout the whole year. So before we dive in, why should you even listen to me? Just to give you guys a little bit of context before we dive into this, I've been running a marketing firm for the last 2 years, and we've worked with over 60 projects, helping them with their go to market. And right now, our team is actually putting together a workshop for an exclusive number of teams with some of the best guests in the industry. I'll pop them up on the screen. We have CK from Reach, we have Alex's building, we have Juanito, we have some of the best speakers in the industry, and we're putting together a workshop for projects to help them, deep dive into things like this of like how do we go from zero to pretty much being one of the most talked about projects in the industry, because our team and the partners that we're bringing onto this workshop have that experience and have done it multiple times. So just diving straight into Loud.io. So I don't want to take up too much of your time today. One of the first components that I want to kick it off with is previous success stories. The reason why Loud.io has taken up so much of the mindshare is because of the success of previous companies, right? So the InfoFi meta has been around for quite a while now. It was taken over by Kaito, which was one of the most successful campaigns we'd had seen until now. Here you can see the Kaito chart. They're sitting at about a $500 million market cap. And it was just one of the most insane campaigns that we had seen before. And they were able to make their people, or, kind of like their yappers, a ton of money. So people are really hyped up anything related to InfoFi when it comes to not only Kaito, but just like the whole InfoFi industry. So Light.io is actually an experiment which is powered by Kaito, which builds trust and shows the potential that it has. And the reason why this is when you're able to attach such a big name that has done this already to a new experiment, you're able to get that sort of power that comes with, the name itself, right? So you can see here, yeah. So it's an experiment built by Ultra, which is one of the founders, and it's powered by Kaito, which is their, the database behind it all. And they have a leaderboard, which I'll dive into in a second. But one of the core components is the previous success stories that I come out of the InfoFi meta. One of the second ones that I believe has led Loud.io to be one of the most talked about projects is the strong incentive rewards. When you look at the incentive rewards that Loud.io has set up in place, it's honestly one of the strongest that we've probably seen in quite some time, because the top 100, or sorry, the top 1,000 people that make it into the leaderboard will be whitelisted into their phase one, which is a guarantee, which basically you get a zero point 0.2 SOL contribution at a very low valuation, is somewhere around 100 something thousand. And just kind of looking at previous success stories, looking at Kaito, they're sitting at 500 million. There's been different predictions that have been made of the Loud token reaching 10 million, 25 million, 50 million, even 100 million FTV, which will be an insane return for about $30 to $40 worth of investment when when you're looking at zero point 0.2 SOL. This then causes people to be very interested in the rewards that they're putting together. So with the previous success story of Kaito, a lot of people see the potential for InfoFi tokens to perform very well in this market. So it's a reason for them to look at a potentially 100x, 1,000x even, with a zero point 0.2 SOL investment. They could make in tens of thousands of dollars just by ranking in the top 1,000 in the leaderboard. And kind of what this causes is a waterfall effect where you have the biggest creators in the industry, right? So we have to, obviously one of the founders, Abby Kicks, Whale, ISO. You have some of the biggest creators in the industry take advantage of this opportunity where they can invest $30, $40 into a pre-sale and make tens of thousands of dollars. For them, it's a no-brainer to post about it. So when you're able to align incentives for creators like this, you don't even have to pay them up front. We've seen this all over the timeline in the last 48 hours where some of these top creators are posting every 60 minutes about Light.io, which is insane. And this just creates that waterfall effect, which is like the big creators are talking about it. all the smaller creators kind of want to follow their path, right? Because they want to potentially get into the top 1,000 leaderboard, which some of them have, but also engagement farm what these top creators are talking about and just leverage their brand into getting engagement and growing as a as a small creator. So strong incentive rewards is the second thing that we noticed that has really led Loud.io to just kind of become very talked about, right? When you're able to align incentives with these big creators and you're able to have a big success story backing you, you're kind of building a recipe for success. And then the last one I want to dive into here quickly is the social currency. When you look at the components for farming Loud, it's very simple. You must have smart followers. You must talk about loud, whether that's replies or tweets, and that must mean a lot of it. And you create content that's engaging, right? So we had Galileo that he kind of broke down how to enter the top 1,000, right? So he said prioritize quality content, create engaging, optimized post, reply a lot, especially to bigger accounts, text, loud, post every 30, 60 minutes, do not run ads, blah, 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 blah. And when you kind of look up the core components of this sort of flywheel that gets you on top of that leaderboard goes back into social currency, right? So how many smart followers do you have? How much engagement can you pull? And how often can you tweet and maintain a good amount of engagement? So it goes back to that, kind of like that waterfall effect where these big creators can tweet as much as they want. They have all the smart followers in the world. They talk about, Loud.io and people want to interact with them because this then causes them to potentially enter the leaderboard. So you have that big flywheel effect that kind of comes all around. And like I said, this process rewards the creators with big following who are able to leverage their social network and audience to rank higher in the leaderboard. Like I said, there are certain exceptions of smaller accounts who have made it into this leaderboard, but social currency and having, a really strong brand has played a big part into this whole campaign. So just to break it down super quick, those are some of the main three things that I would say I've noticed when kind of looking over the last 48, 24 hours of what Loud.io has done, has been taking advantage of the previous success stories of Kaito, aligning incentives with some of these really top creators by having them create content and have a potential of making tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you land in the top 25. And then the social currency, which then comes with you have big creators, they have this social currency that they can tap into at any point. So you're giving them access to tap into this network they already have and just pretty much monetize it. So if you're a project founder, I would highly recommend looking at what Loud.io, Kaito, Cookie has done and take as many notes as you can, learn as much as you can from them. They've done something right. And I believe that Loud.io has a lot of potential. And I do think that InfoFi is it's a meta that's kind of here to stay, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it. But that's my take on why Loud.io has been so successful, and I'm excited to see how this all plays out. I appreciate it, guys. See you guys in the next one, and hopefully I see you guys in the workshop. If you guys want to apply, the link is in my bio, so feel free to do that. But other than that, I'll wrap it up here. See you guys in the next one. Peace.